One day, little Johnny's teacher, Mrs. Wilson, handed back their math tests. As she walked down the aisle, she stopped at Johnny's desk and smiled. Mrs. Wilson, Johnny, I'm impressed. You got a perfect score on the test. Did you study hard? Johnny grinned proudly. Johnny, nope, I just used logic. Mrs. Wilson raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Wilson, logic? How did that help you solve the problems? Johnny leaned forward and said, Johnny, well, I looked at each question and thought, what would Mrs. Wilson put as the answer if she wanted to trick us? Then I chose the opposite. The class burst into laughter, and Mrs. Wilson shook her head, smiling. Mrs. Wilson, that's clever, Johnny, but the test isn't about tricking you. It's about understanding the material. You should still study for the next one. Johnny shrugged and replied, Johnny, if it works, it works. Mrs. Wilson smiled and said, Mrs. Wilson, just remember, Johnny, true success comes from effort, not shortcuts. Imagine how much better you could do if you combined your logic with preparation. Moral. Johnny's quick wit reminds us that clever thinking can take you far, but hard work and dedication are the keys to long-term success.